Hello everybody, have an oldie on the table for you today. So this knife right here, it's new to me, but this knife, believe it or not, was released about 20 years ago. So we are taking a look at the CRKT, the Tighe Tac. And so this knife right here is a Brian Tighe design. And if you're familiar with CRKT at all, we know that even to this very day, Brian Tighe has quite a few collaborations with CRKT, a lot of great designs he's come out with over the years, and this might be one of the very first of them. So this knife right here was released back in 2001, and so that was when it first appeared in the CRKT catalog, and so it came in a few different variations, but I really like looking at these older CRKT models because they were very forward thinking in a lot of ways. So let's take a look at the Tighe Tac right here. So this is the 8102, and it's meant to be a tactical gentleman's type folder, but we have a lot of neat design features in it that look really good even to this day. So still very comparable with modern knives in a lot of respects. So looking at the construction right here, we have bolsters on the top, and those are a bead blasted steel bolster design. We can see a lot of Torx bits holding them on. The handles right here are plastic, so they're Zytel scales. And I really do like the handle shape. It's generally kind of like a coffin shaped handle. And so we see that same style, that same shape on a lot of fixed blade Bowie knives. But here we have it on this small tactical gentleman's knife. So pretty classy. And we are liner lock, so you can see the lock up there, steel liners. And for 2001, the pocket clip is not able to change places, but we do have kind of a unique design. And so what's kind of cool about this pocket clip, if you take a close look, we're going to see it's just a standard size pocket clip, but there's a cool little design motif on there. You'll notice it looks like a gentleman's necktie. And so, of course, that plays in on the words, so the Tighe Tac. And so a lot of Brian Tighe's designs with CRKT, almost all of them that I can think of, have kind of a clever play on words using his name. So, the Tighe Tac, the Tycoon, a lot of really kind of clever names that he came up with. So that's kind of cool. So we see one of the first of them right here in the Tighe Tac, and of course we see the gentleman's tie right there, which of course is meant to evoke the feeling that this is a gentleman's carry knife with the tactical theme on it, of course. So that's really cool. But being the blade right here, take a look at that spear point blade. We have a nice swedge at the top, classic CRKT logo, and as you can tell, it's a satin finish. So very nice on both sides. Very well done. Now the blade steel, in 2021, it's nothing to write home about. So the blade steel on this knife is an AUS 6M blade steel. But we got to remember, this is a knife from 20 years ago, 2001. So AUS 6 for an import knife was pretty much run-of-the-mill. It was standard. Now, of course, they could have done better because, of course, at the time, ATS 34 was a thing. But this was meant to be more of a budget knife, so as a result, we get the lower-end steel here. But that being said, the construction is super solid. We have Teflon washers in there. And the knife is non-assisted. It's completely manual opening. So you can open it very slowly if you need to, or if you really wanted to whip it open, you could. And it has this rectangular thumb disc right there that lets you do that. So you can see that there. Probably removable because we can see another Torx bit, but still very neat. And so when you're holding the knife, you recognize there's quite a bit of jimping right here near the tip of the blade. And so we call it jimping now, of course, but looking in the old catalog for CRKT, what did they call this? Let me look it up really quick. It had a funny word for it. All right, so the jimping back in 2001 was called castellated grooves on the handle. So our castellated grooves right here, also known as jimping, give us a nice tight grip, which is great because again they're advertising it as a easy to carry tactical gentleman's folder, and so it certainly could be pressed into that role if you wanted it to be. But really just a really nifty design. The bead blast finish looks really nice even after all these years. This particular one I did pick up used, and I say used, but it was essentially new in box. This one right here, the 8102, is the larger of the two Tighe Tac models that came out. There is a smaller version as well, and it also comes in a partially serrated blade. So I kind of lucked out because this is the configuration I would have wanted. Overall length is about 7 inches. The blade length is about 3 inches, and the overall weight of this knife comes in at 3.4 ounces, which is still, to this very day, a respectable weight for an everyday carry knife. So I'm continuously impressed by a lot of the vintage knives that CRKT came out with in this time period, and even since then. To this day, I'm a fan of CRKT, of course, and a lot of their really nice designs have been discontinued over the years. And I love to collect a lot of these old designs just to see what used to be. And while the materials aren't necessarily always that great, I think the designs themselves are kind of fascinating at times here. So some of them on the table right here, we have, for instance, the Liang Ma eraser. And so just this big, beautiful tactical folder, again, a bolstered design, very nice satin finish blade, just gorgeous grinds on that knife. And they came out with a few variations of this one as well. Just a beautiful knife, the Liang Ma eraser. The M16 series is still very well known, and this is one of their early M18s with the full aluminum handles, blue G10 inserts. I know they made these with other inserts as well, but just a big, showy knife, very solid because of the aluminum scales. Just a big beefy blade here. A few other ones. This one is one of my favorite classic CRKT designs. This one right here, we can see it's a Russ Comer design, polished blade. They called this the full throttle. Very much a gentleman's knife as well. You can see the colored standoffs, everything is just gold on here. Very nice to look at. Very classy design here. Really wish they'd bring this one back with some modern materials. Another one of the earliest front flippers I've seen, at least in a production knife. This is the Convergence, and we can see it to this day. Still flips pretty well open there. And I forget the designer of this particular model. I'll throw it up if I can find it. But just very solidly made. Very well done. A lot of really cool designs. And that's one thing CRKT over the years has not been afraid to do, is try out different designers, different designs. And some things really stick and stay around, and some things get a limited run and they're gone. And so this particular knife right here, 20-year-old design, but it's still very comparable to what you might pick up in the store today. So pretty cool. So I can do a real quick comparison before we're gone. So let's just compare right here the Brian Tighe CRKT Tighe Tac to my standard Kershaw Blur. So we have our Blur right here. This is one of the ones I own. And you can see side by side, still, very comparable, similar overall length. The Blur's slightly longer, but I mean, they're in the same ballpark to be certain. Other than that, what else can I compare it to? Let's take a look at the Cold Steel gun sight. Just happen to have this one here on the desk. Of course, much larger, but gives you an idea of overall size and length. So 3-inch blade, 4-inch blade right here. But just kind of want to share this one. I love collecting these old CRKT knives. Same thing, I like collecting older Kershaw knives. And now when I say older, I don't mean things that are from when the company was first founded, by all means, but things from the early 2000s, late 90s, up to modern day. A lot of this stuff is long discontinued, but you can still find these, whether it's on eBay. Sometimes dealers will have new old stock just hanging around if you do the right Google searching. So that applies to this one right here as well. So feel free to check out used sites if you want to pick one up, but definitely worth it for my collection. Very classy, very nice to look at. I mean, the AUS 6M doesn't stack up very well in 2021, but everything else on the knife feels remarkably modern and elegant. So definitely not a knife you would feel out of place, putting in your jacket pocket, suit pants, if you're going to a wedding or somewhere classy like that. Very much the tuxedo style knife. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions about this knife or any of the knives on the table, feel free to leave a comment below. Do you like knives from this time period, or are you strictly modern, or maybe you collect even older things than this particular one? But definitely all the information in this video that I got, I really have to thank the Wayback Machine it's a website that has a lot of old archived sites on it. So using that site, I was able to get all of the old CRKT catalogs, and that's where I got my information from. So definitely I rely on them when doing these videos, because it's really cool to see what used to be readily available. And a lot of those knives are just totally gone now. So definitely big thanks to them. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, but just have a nice day. Bye-bye.